Okay, so listen to this, right? You've got a murder at a lighthouse.
At a remote lighthouse.
Yeah, a remote lighthouse. The room locked from the inside.
Classic locked room mystery, right?
Totally. But wait, there's more.
There's always more with these cases.
Map of the coast with shipwrecks circled.
Okay, now that's intriguing.
Right. So we're diving into the case of Captain Edgar Hale. He was the lone keeper of this place, Stormwatch Lighthouse, and he was found dead.
And the circumstances.
Mysterious, to say the least.
You know, that's what's so captivating about these locked room mysteries. Like, immediately you've got this impossible situation.
How to get in.
And out.
Right.
A sealed room makes you think outside the box, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Have to consider every single detail.
You know, every possibility. We've got some pretty wild details in this one.
Yeah, lay it on me.
A broken oil lamp.
Okay.
Wet footprints leading from the window. And that cryptic map we were talking about.
It's like straight out of a detective novel.
I know, right?
And that's what keeps people coming back for more, I think. Puzzles. The thrill of the chase.
You know, but this was a real investigation.
Oh, yeah, these things happen. And you know what? They require a very meticulous approach. It's all about eliminating what couldn't have happened to get to the truth, right?
So, ready to dive into the impossible?
Let's do it.
Stormwatch Lighthouse. This place is perched on a cliff, right?
Cliff, I bet.
Overlooking Blackwater Bay.
Oh, yeah, I know Blackwater Bay.
Treacherous waters. Known for its history of shipwrecks.
So the setting itself is already kind of ominous, right?
It totally adds to the whole thing.
It's isolated lighthouse, fog, probably cut off, you know?
Yeah.
Secrets hiding just below the surface.
Okay, so our victim, Captain Edgar Hale, kind of a recluse, the soul keeper. What do we know about this guy?
Well, from what you've told me, seems like he was a man of few words.
Yeah.
Liked his solitary life, but he had a past.
Oh, yeah. Connections to the mainland. Maybe even some secrets.
Secrets always lead to trouble, don't they?
That they do. And we've got 3 people who become persons of interest pretty quickly.
Hit me with the list.
Samuel Drake, a fisherman. He delivered supplies to the lighthouse.
Regularly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Iris Monroe, a journalist working on a story.
About the lighthouse.
And its history. Yeah. And then we have Thomas Gale.
Who's he?
Retired keeper.
Uh-huh.
And had a bit of a feud going on with Captain Hale.
A feud, you say?
Interesting.
So each of these people, they had a connection to the victim.
They had a reason to be near the lighthouse. And possibly.
A motive.
A motive, yeah.
So we have our characters, our spooky, isolated setting, and a locked room. Where do we even start?
With the evidence, of course. Those impossible things you mentioned.
Yeah.
The footprints, the lamp, the locked room itself.
Yeah.
They're not just details.
Yeah.
They're clues. Pieces of the puzzle.
Okay, so that locked room. The only way in or out is this heavy door, bolted from the inside.
No forced entry, no secret passages.
Baffling. And that's why we love them. They challenge everything, you know? Make you question what you think is possible.
Yeah,
But remember, even the impossible has an explanation.
it does.
It has to. And it's up to the investigator to find it.
How do they even approach something like this? It's like a riddle wrapped in an enigma.
It's all about elimination.
Elimination.
Yeah, you got to examine the scene, every inch of it. Any tampering, any hidden mechanisms, anything overlooked.
That could explain how the killer got in and out.
Bingo.
It's like a chess game.
It is a battle of wits. Observation, logic, deduction, all that good stuff.
Let's talk about those wet footprints. Leading from the window to Captain Hale's desk.
Okay, now this is where it gets interesting. Remember, this lighthouse is high up on a cliff.
Right.
And it was during a storm.
Oh, yeah.
Reaching that window, not easy.
You'd need some serious climbing gear and a good reason to risk it.
So what does that tell us about our killer?
That they were desperate.
Desperate, yeah. Willing to take a risk. But why that window? Had to be important.
So maybe they didn't actually defy the laws of physics.
Maybe they used the environment to their advantage.
That's what investigators look for, right?
You got it. Those little impossibilities that actually reveal how the killer thinks, how they work.
Okay, next clue. The broken oil lamp.
Right by the body.
Seems like the obvious murder weapon,
Yeah.
but no fingerprints.
Ah, very interesting. It could mean a lot of things. A planned crime, maybe?
Wiping it down?
Maybe. Or What if they use something else entirely?
To kill him.
Exactly.
That's a whole other mystery.
What if the lamp is the distraction, leading us away from the real murder weapon?
That's pretty clever.
And killers can be clever.
Okay, now that map. Detailed chart of Blackwater Bay.
Shipwreck circled, right?
Yeah. Was Captain Hale some kind of secret treasure hunter? Or what else could it be?
Well, the map makes you wonder, doesn't it? What was he doing? Local history buff? Or did he have a personal connection to those spots?
Like each wreck has a story.
And maybe one of those stories explains why he was murdered.
Yeah. That's the kind of thing investigators would latch on to, looking for any connection, any pattern that might explain the motive.
Right.
So we have a locked room, wet footprints that seem to defy gravity, a wiped-down murder weapon.
And a map full of secrets.
A lot of pieces to this puzzle.
So how do our suspects fit into all this? Just caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, or
Did one of them have a reason to kill?
a motive strong enough to do something like that?
That's the question we'll be looking at next time.
Can't wait. Last time, remember, we ended with a locked room, a bunch of weird clues, and 3 people who knew our victim, Captain Hale. So let's see where they fit in right now.
It's amazing, isn't it, how our minds just latch onto those impossible scenarios.
Right, yeah.
Locked room mysteries, I mean, they've been around forever. Sherlock Holmes, Agatha Christie.
People love them.
I think it's the challenge.
The impossibility of it all.
Exactly.
Our brains just crave order, logic.
We got to make sense of it.
Exactly. So when something seems to defy all explanation, we immediately start looking for the answer.
That missing piece.
Yeah, that'll make it all click into place.
So in this case, those pieces are our suspects.
Let's start with Samuel Drake.
The fisherman. Right.
He was the last one to see Captain Hale alive, remember?
Delivering supplies.
The day before the murder. And we know from his statement that Drake and Hale, they had a bit of a history.
A dispute.
Over fishing grounds near the Lighthouse.
So territorial.
Happens all the time, especially in places like that, small communities, livelihoods tied to the sea.
So, a possible motive.
Could a disagreement over fishing spots turn deadly, though? That's the question.
It could, right. People get heated.
It's possible. But we got to look at the bigger picture. Was this a long-running feud?
Bad blood.
Yeah, or was it just a, recent thing? Maybe they already worked it out.
Right. We need more than just a possible motive.
We got to look at his actions, what he said, his whole demeanor.
And how he could have even done it in a locked room.
Exactly. Could Samuel Drake climb that lighthouse, reach that window, kill Hale, and then disappear?
He is a fisherman, so he's probably comfortable on the water with heights.
True. But we can't just assume, right? Investigators would need to dig into his alibi, check his whereabouts, look for anything fishy in his story.
Fishy, huh?
Yeah, no pun intended. Okay, on to our next suspect, Iris Monroe.
The journalist.
Right, she was working on a story about Stormwatch Lighthouse.
Interviewed Hale just days before he died.
And this is where it gets interesting.
Oh.
She claims she overheard Hale talking about a secret.
A secret?
Something to do with those shipwrecks marked on the map.
That map again? It's like everyone's obsessed with it.
Well, it's a pretty big clue.
Do you think she stumbled onto something dangerous?
Something worth killing for.
Yeah.
Definitely possible. Think about it. Journalists, they dig things up. Stuff some people would rather keep buried.
They can expose secrets.
Like enemies.
And sometimes they end up in dangerous situations.
Was Iris in danger, though? Or was she just chasing a good story?
Did she find something that threatened the killer? Or was she just in the wrong place at the wrong time?
Great questions. We got to consider everything, right? Maybe she knew more than she let on.
Holding back.
For her own safety. Or maybe she didn't even realize what she had.
So many secrets. Okay, last suspect. Thomas Gale.
The retired keeper.
The one with the feud with Hale.
Yeah, over the lighthouse itself.
Thomas felt like he was cheated, right? Out of his rightful claim to the place.
Resentment, a sense of injustice. That can eat away at you.
And he knew the lighthouse inside and out. All its secrets.
He had opportunity, that's for sure.
And motive makes him a pretty strong contender, don't you think?
It does, but we can't jump to conclusions. Motive and opportunity don't automatically equal guilt.
True, but his reaction to the map was weird.
Evasive.
Totally, like he knew something about it, but didn't want to say anything.
So suspicious. What did he know about Hale's fascination with the shipwrecks? Did they argue about it? Or was he completely in the dark about it all?
It's like we're peeling back layers of an onion. Each layer reveals another mystery.
Huh, that's a good one.
3 suspects, all connected to the victim, each with secrets, and each with a possible motive. So how do we narrow it down? How do we figure out who did it?
That's where the real investigation starts. You got to look at the evidence, analyze what everyone said.
Look for inconsistencies, contradictions, lying.
All of it. It's like a puzzle,
Right.
a giant one.
But some of the pieces are missing, and some might not even belong.
Okay, so how do we find those missing pieces? Do we learn more about the suspects or go back to the lighthouse?
It's got to be both.
Both.
We need every detail, every clue, every interaction. Got to build a timeline, figure out exactly what happened when, and then, the most important part, connect those events to our suspects.
That's a lot.
It is, but someone's got to do it right.
Justice for Captain Hale. Exactly. And in this case, that someone is Detective Clara Vance.
Oh, I've heard of her.
Sharp as a tack. Meticulous. Won't stop till she finds the truth. And in this case, that truth is hidden inside a locked room at the top of a lighthouse.
So Detective Vance is on the case, ready to go through everything, confront everyone.
What happens next? Does she crack the case?
All right, so where were we? Locked room, impossible murder, and 3 suspects with secrets all around them.
Yeah, like that fog around Stormwatch Lighthouse.
Detective Vance has her work cut out for her,
But that's what makes it fun, right? Seeing a great detective unravel it all.
figuring out the truth.
Separating fact from fiction. It's exciting.
So how does she do it? Does she go back to the crime scene?
Actually, her big breakthrough, it comes from something we already talked about. Those wet footprints leading to the window
Oh, right. We talked about how hard it would be to get to that window.
from the outside.
Yeah, especially in a storm. You'd need climbing skills, a good reason, and maybe a little bit of crazy.
That's exactly what Detective Vance realized. The killer, they didn't climb from the outside. They climbed from the inside.
Wait, what? The killer was already in the lighthouse. But how?
Think about it. Lighthouses, they have ladders inside.
Right, to get to the top.
The lamp room.
Okay.
So the killer could have just, walked up,
To the window
made those footprints, then climbed back down,
and bolted the door.
making it look impossible.
That's brilliant, but who could have been inside
Yeah.
without anyone noticing?
Remember Iris's article? The draft?
Yeah,
It probably mentioned the treasure, right? The shipwrecks.
the things Captain Hale was interested in.
Exactly. And Thomas Gale, he's a former keeper, right?
He would have known all that stuff.
Yeah.
About the bay,
Yeah.
the history, the rumors,
You could have put it all together.
and his motive.
Well, he wasn't just angry at Hale, right? He was obsessed.
What's the treasure?
He saw it as a way to get back at Hale, to claim what he thought was his.
So he had a motive. He had the opportunity.
Mhm.
And now we know he could have faked the locked room. What does Detective Vance do?
She goes to him with all this new information, explains how the footprints work,
The lighthouse, the ladder.
and she lays out his motive, his knowledge of the area, how he wouldn't talk about the map.
So the truth is out. Does Thomas confess
He does. He's cornered. The evidence is right there. He breaks down, admits he went to see Hale.
about the treasure?
They argued. It turned into a fight.
And Hale was killed.
Then Thomas staged the scene, made it look like no one could have gotten in or out
He used the inside ladder to escape.
before anyone knew what happened.
The locked room was a trick.
A clever one. It plays on what we think is possible, but even the best tricks, they can be explained.
With careful observation, logic.
Deduction.
So, case closed. Justice is served.
Yeah.
But, what about the treasure? Did Thomas ever find it?
That's the thing. Even though he confessed, he never found it.
Really?
Captain Hale never told him where it was.
So he took that secret to his grave,
He did.
leaving the treasure still out there, somewhere under the waves. Was it real, though? Or just a story?
That's for you to decide. What do you think? Was it gold? Jewels? From some lost ship?
Or is it something else?
Something more personal? A piece of history? A family secret?
Something Hale thought was worth protecting with his life.
Maybe.
Wow. This whole thing has been wild. We started with an impossible crime, and now we've gone through greed, resentment.
The power of secrets.
It's amazing what people will do for, treasure, real or imagined.
It reminds me that sometimes the most valuable things, they're not gold or jewels,
Right.
It's knowledge, stories, mysteries that connect us to the past,
And sometimes the biggest mysteries, they stay unsolved.
leaving us with questions
They linger.
long after the case is closed.
So to everyone listening, keep your eyes open, be curious
You never know what mysteries you'll find.
in your own life.
And remember, even when the truth seems impossible, it's out there, just waiting to be discovered.